Alright, so Nvidia is probably just trolling at this point because we thought that with the specifications of the RTX 4060 Ti, they had hit an all-time low, but then specs for the RTX 4050 surfaced online and things just got even worse. Let's discuss that in this video. Hey, if you enjoy content like this, drop a like, make sure to subscribe, and smash that bell so you never miss another video. Hey, what is going on guys, Danny here, welcome back to the channel and I hope you've all been doing well. So previously we talked about Nvidia's upcoming RTX 4060 Ti graphics card, the product which will be replacing the popular 3060 Ti from the previous generation. And given the information we saw surface online surrounding this model, things just weren't looking good. Compared to the previous generation, it's not going to be providing any meaningful performance leaps, and given the upward trend in price, its performance per dollar is just going to be horrible. At least with the RTX 3060 Ti, you were getting performance that was just as good, if not better than a 2080 Super, a graphics card which sold for $699 plus. With the 4060 Ti, at best, you're going to be getting about 3070 levels of performance, that is if it's not hamstrung by its slim memory bus and low memory bandwidth. Adding on to that, we have some more leaks surrounding this card. This information comes from Lovelace GPU on Twitter, who shared a couple of pictures of what appears to be packaging template art. This user had also posted something similar back in November 2022 for the RTX 4070 Ti, pertaining to package information and specs. And the RTX 4070 Ti didn't launch until a couple months later, so that could mean if we're going to go by a similar time frame, then the 4060 Ti should launch sometime in May of this year. Now, given the box art we've seen from Nvidia and its partners in the past, it really wouldn't be difficult for anyone to come up with a mock-up template and post it as a leak. Taking a look at this list of features, which is usually found on the back or side of the box, it's basically the same as what you'd see from a 4090 or 4080 box because they're from the same generation. However, to corroborate this leak, WCCF Tech on their site recently posted an article stating that they have information from their sources who tell them that Nvidia plans to launch the RTX 4060 Ti sometime in May. It could very well be during Computex, where Nvidia could announce the RTX 4060 Ti as well as the RTX 4060. I doubt we'll see anything else, and most definitely not the RTX 4090 Ti, because right now, Nvidia has no incentive. Given the fact that the RTX 4090 is sitting at the top untouched, means they don't have to due to the lack of competition. Though given what the specs and what I was talking about in the last video, this card is definitely not going to be a GPU consumers in this space and PC gamers were looking forward to anyways. I'm confident in saying that the vast majority would have probably preferred it if Nvidia said we're not going to even bother with the GPUs below the $600 price point for Ada Lovelace, and instead we're just going to lower the prices on older gen RTX 30 series. With that said, I think this will be a good point to transition over to the next topic of our video, which is discussing the rumored specs and release date for the upcoming RTX 4050. This information also comes from Lovelace GPU, where they state that Nvidia's upcoming RTX 4050, which will be their entry-level Ada Lovelace GPU, is going to launch in June, so probably following the release of the RTX 4060 Ti. Interestingly, he does mention that the 4060 non-Ti's release date hasn't been decided yet. Furthermore, a user replied to their post asking if they had any further info on specs, and they mentioned that the 4050 will only have 6GB of VRAM and a 96-bit bus. Just when he thought Nvidia couldn't stoop down to a lower level, they pull this. It's like they're intentionally just trying to sabotage the mainstream and mid-range market. The entry level was killed a long time ago, and now they want to work on ruining the tiers above. But circling back to the specs of the RTX 4050, the memory configuration of this GPU alone is a huge deal breaker. It's going to be dead on arrival, there's just no way around it. Considering the RTX 4060 Ti will probably launch around $450 to $500, that will place the RTX 4060 at around $400, which means that Nvidia is probably going to be launching basically a laptop GPU for the desktop market at $300 to $350, if not more, with a mere 6GB of VRAM in 2023. That right there is some grade A horseshit. There are some new games coming out today that are starting to show limitations on graphics cards with 8GB of VRAM at 1080p. Now granted, those are with ultra settings, but imagine paying like over $300 for a graphics card in 2023 and it won't even let you game comfortably at 1080p, let alone 1440p. If there's one thing that AMD does way better than Nvidia, it's that they actually equip their GPUs with an adequate amount of VRAM that allows them to outlast their Nvidia counterparts. You'll see the RX 6700 XT outlast the RTX 3070 and 3060 Ti because those GPUs will be hitting the VRAM limitations in these newer games, whereas the RX 6700 XT will still be doing fine since it has that extra headroom. But 6GB is an absolute joke. Even the RTX 3050 had 8GB of VRAM, and that card wasn't even received all that well either. I had actually reviewed it last year and said if this GPU had launched at $199, and remember that during that time GPUs were still a bit hard to find, then the RTX 3050 would have done okay in the market. However, this time around, not only are they going to be putting out this trash in the market where people are disinterested from GPUs, but it's going to have worse specs than its predecessor. That just makes no sense to me. Back in 2016, Nvidia had launched the GTX 1060 with 6GB of VRAM, and AMD had launched an RX 470 with 8GB of VRAM, and those cards were selling well below $300. I think the RX 470 came out around $160 or $170, somewhere around there, but they had plenty of VRAM for the time. There's just no excuse for us to be even getting mainstream cards with less than 10GB of VRAM anymore. Performance-wise, considering the laptop version scores around 8400 points in Time Spy, and the RTX 3050 gets about 6200 points, expect about a 30% improvement gen on gen, which should put this card just shy of an RTX 3060. If this GPU had at least 8GB of VRAM and had an MSRP of $150, I'd actually consider that to be a pretty decent deal with the way the market is currently constructed. But as I said, with the uptrend in pricing, you're going to be basically getting an RTX 3060 with half the VRAM for the same price. It's pathetic. One of the things brought up in my previous video was how if you look at something like a Steam hardware survey, you'll see lower end GPUs holding the top spots. These new lower end cards are what we'll be adding onto the list because at the end of the day, people just want to play their games, and the vast majority are going to be sticking with 1080p. However, if the 4050 comes out at an obscene price and fails to deliver even in that regard, what will be the point then? We're not even talking about a last gen card or a card released from 2016 that is starting to show its age here, but a new GPU released in 2023 and can't even keep up with modern gaming at 1080p. Nvidia's messaging is blatantly obvious. It's either you pay us upwards of $1,000 or you're going to get a product that won't even provide you with any sort of meaningful improvement over the previous generation. And I for one am absolutely sick and tired of this crap. If you guys found this video to be informative and entertaining, then leave a like. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Be sure to check out the video description for cool links and ways to support the channel, such as using my Amazon affiliate link. And if you're interested in seeing more content like this, then consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.